Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, time for the weekly comic book review. Thanks for checking out the video. This is the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week, Road of Bones #1 from IDW. Did an advanced review of this one a few weeks ago. Definitely want to check out that video for some extra thoughts on this book, but it's absolutely fantastic and definitely stands out as the pick of the week. The best comic book I read. It's got a great, elegant pace through it. It's a survival horror comic book set in the USSR in 1950. It's about these prisoners escaping a gulag, but maybe they have a monster in tow. Or maybe the monsters themselves. Striking artwork that's atmospheric and does exactly what it needs to do. Superb lettering and a great fast-paced script that just perfectly introduces the characters, the themes, the setting, and everything by Rich Douek. An amazing job from the entire team. This is out from IDW Comic Books. Be out there right now. Look for this book. This is the pick of the week. Fantastic stuff. Great horror comic book. If you're a fan of horror, especially if it's historical horror, if you're just a fan of a great comic book, definitely check it out. Really striking artwork, like I said, atmospheric, moody, and I'm really excited to see where this book is going to go. Also from IDW out this week, this is kind of like pick of the week #2 away. This is like #2. Ghost Tree #2. This book was awesome. I loved the first issue. It's a nice, like, melancholy tale about a dude going back to his childhood home, and he sees the ghost of his grandfather. Turns out there's a tree in their backyard in the woods that attracts ghosts and other things to it, and he, amongst other members, select members of his family, can see and talk to ghosts. And so it's about a dude looking back to his past, avoiding the problems of his future, because he's got some problems with his marriage in the States. He comes back overseas, back home, and this book is just awesome. It's got a great, delicate script by Bobby Curnow and Simon Gain on the artwork. That's the cat that did Dare Not Like Us. I love the artwork in it. It's simple, but it definitely does the job. It's got a quirky sense of humor to it. It's really touching. It's melancholy. It's a story about family. It's a story about hiding from what's really going on, but it's also a story about going back inside and going back to where you came from to see your road ahead into the future, though sometimes you can get stuck on that. But I really like the themes. I really like the characters. I really like the concept of this book. I love the art. It's a nice full package. IDW with 2 hits this week. Ghost Tree #2, Road of Bones #1. Check those out. On to Marvel Comics. War of the Realms, Strike Force, Land of the Giants. So this is kind of the most necessary and essential so far of these War of the Realms tie-ins, and that's only really because this is the account of Spider-Man, Captain America, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Wolverine going into Jotunheim to get Thor back. This is that story. And it's not like hiding around it or anything like that, like the Dark Elf Realm one kind of did, but it goes right into it and it tells that story, and it does a splendid job at it. This is such a nice book, and it's actually very touching. It's written by Tom Taylor, Jorge Molina on the pencils, inked by Andrea Di Benedetto, and colored by David Curiel. This was actually my favorite so far of all the tie-ins to War of the Realms. However, I will say it's not necessarily essential. You know, last week we already saw that Thor came back. They went, they got him. That's really maybe the only story that needs to be told. But Tom Taylor takes that little throwaway kind of just brief moment in the story and really turns it into something special. Really good. I liked this one a lot. I thought it was really good, especially because of all the Spider-Man stuff. You'll know what I'm talking about if you read it. Speaking of War of the Realms, Journey Mystery #3 is here. This is fun, it's loose, it's non-essential at all, like, to the War of the Realms stuff, but it's interesting. It does have the character of Ares in it, so that's exciting. Andre Araujo doing the penciling, that's my draw to this. I love his artwork. Feels a little bit more cluttered, a little less spacious as his artwork sometimes feel. Maybe it's just because there's so much going on in the story. Overall, the story's all right. It's got some cool characters in it. Miles Morales, Kate Bishop, and like I said, Ares. So definitely check it out for that. I do like the artwork, but ultimately the story's like okay. But this is a nice throwback to some old school Marvel Westerns. So if you're a fan of that stuff, it's a nice little reference. New Agents of Atlas #2 is out this week. The first issue was actually pretty cool, and I was kind of impressed by that. But the second issue just kind of gets that sophomoric blues. Doesn't really keep that pace going. It's definitely got a lot of stuff in it, and it's moving the story along, but nothing's really grabbing me. Nothing's really engaging me. They're introducing a whole lot of new characters, but we're not really learning anything about them. It just feels like there's no point to it. I don't know. second issue of this one didn't do so well for me as compared to the first one. The Punisher, #2 of War of the Realms, his miniseries is out, and this is basically just the Punisher trying to lead a group of criminals and people through, you know, a tunnel linking New Jersey and New York, and during the whole War of the Realms stuff, so he's like fighting off, you know, demons and trolls and goblins and all kinds of stuff, right? All that fantasy type stuff, right? It's fun, it's decent, it's all right, it's not bad, it's not essential. Like I said, none of the War of the Realms tie-ins have been really, really essential. I would say that the Land of the Giants is the closest, but it's not necessarily super, super essential. Anyway, this Punisher one is fun, so Punisher fans, you're going to like it, and it's cool in this book because this is the next Punisher book of, what is it, something Kill Crew, right? That's going to be kind of about the aftermath of this. So Punisher fans, I'd definitely check it out. Venom is in with issue number 14, which is a War of the Realms tie-in written by Cullen Bunn, not Donny Cates. But look at this variant cover. That is seriously so fire. That is a crazy awesome Battle Lines Carnage cover. That's awesome. The interior, it's all right. You know, it's a decent story. It's neat. It's a little confusing when you read War of the Realms and you see Venom's place in that. Then you see this and you're like, this must be something that takes place before. But whatever. It's an alright story, but it does interrupt the flow of what Donny Cates is doing, but it doesn't like just feel completely disconnected. It does feel like it's not essential to the Venom story or to the War of the Realms story, but if we're gonna get a fill-in, at least it's something kind of fun and energetic like this, right? But look at that cover. Wow, speaking of Battle Lines covers, Blade, look at your boy Blade get on a cover right there. That's beautiful. That's my cover of the week. It should be this one. It really should, but I'm going to go with that one to represent Blade. Anyway, this is Avengers number 19, another War of the Realms tie-in, but also does a great job of setting up some continuing story threads of Jason Aaron's run on Avengers. So it's not just tying into War of the Realms, but it's also using it to reveal a little bit of important information about what's going to happen in the pages of future issues of the Avengers. This is a Gorilla Man-centric issue. Blade appears on 2 pages, so be on the lookout for that. He's also on the cover. But it's a nice, fun little book. The tie-in kind of holds back the story a little bit, but I'm glad that Aaron and company are still keeping a thread alive and really making some exciting revelations about what's coming up in this book post-War of the Realms. Things that really excite me, for instance. Miles Morales, number 6 is here. I think that this series is getting better and better each issue. It gets more, the flow gets better, the pacing gets better, the dialogue flow, it just works, and it's just getting more snappy, and it's getting just more on the money, on the nose. Really liked issue 6. This one is really cool. There's a new character there, Starling. She's somehow related to a classic Spider-Man foe. So the revelations about her origins is kind of cool. It's kind of neat. But this is just a great story of Miles kind of dealing with the idea that he's got this massive secret that he's holding back, even to those closest to him, like his soon-to-be girlfriend, wannabe girlfriend, maybe not, right? Lots of drama going on here, but still plenty of fun Spidey action. This book has just been getting better and better every single issue. X-Force number 8 is here. It's a book that is really, really fun, and it throws back a lot to the old school Cable X-Force days back in the early 90s, and that's kind of fun. I love this new redesign on Strife. I can't tell you that this book is exceptional or super good or that you're guaranteed to love it or anything like that, but something about this book is just hooking me in, and I'm enjoying it. It's just a brainless, fun, cool Cable story, and I'm liking what's going on in this. I'm liking the idea of Kid Cable, Kid Strife. To me, it's injected a new energy into the whole X-Force idea, which I think kind of wore down a long time ago. So I kind of like this dynamic. We'll see what happens if this book is going to survive the Hickmanization of the X-Men, but I'm really liking it so far. Really am. Mr. and Mrs. X number 11 is another book I'm really, really liking. This is a book that focuses mostly on Gambit, which historically, these are the type of books that I ignore and forget about. But it's actually done really well because Kelly Thompson has found a way to take a character like Gambit, someone I've loathed for so long, and has made me really, really like him and find him even charming and likable in this book. Really crazy. This book's coming to an end, I think, in the next issue. It's going to be sad to see it go, but it's also a nice wrap-up. But this has been a nice exploration of Gambit and Rogue's relationship post-marriage. And a lot of my problems with Rogue and Gambit and their relationship, their romance, was the whole thing that's just a cycle. It's just over and over and over again with it, right? Kelly's evolved their relationship. She's moved it forward, and I'm very thankful for her for that. The art's pretty fire, too. So Mr. and Mrs. X Number 11 out this week, The Unstoppable Wasp. Number 8 is here. 2 more issues to go after this one, and this is going to kick off a real fun story. I'm loving this book. Jeremy Whitley's doing a great job with the characters. Guri Hairu on the artwork. It's really nice. It's clean. It's got style. It's dynamic when it needs to be. It's really, really cool, exciting stuff. Unstoppable Wasp. The charm that Jeremy Whitley has brought to the character of Nadia. Just absolutely am in love with this book, with that character. I adore it, and I'm really sad to see it go, but it's going to go out with a bang. This is a very exciting issue, spotlighting a lot of her team members of Agent of the Girl, Girl, right? Marvel Comics Presents is here with issue number 5. The weakest issue so far. So far, earlier issues have been neat. They each have like a cool story. That last one had that awesome Moon Knight story. This one's got an okay Venom story. It's got an alright Nightcrawler story that does take place during the time of the collapse of the Berlin Wall in 1989. It's also written by Chris Claremont, so that's cool. I like how they're doing stories that are set out of continuity and just able to do what they want to. And I love how the middle story always reflects a significant moment in American history, at least so far. But this one definitely falls a little bit flat. Even the Wolverine story, which I think has been Charles Soule's best work on the character, has started to stagnate a little bit for me. And there's some nice throwbacks in Wolverine in real time in the 80s in here. But overall, Marvel Comics Presents number 5, kind of a letdown, especially with the first 4 issues being fairly solid. Star Wars Age of Rebellion rolls on through with Jabba the Hutt. So these Greg Pak Age of Rebellion one-shots have been really good. Like, freaking awesome. Jabba the Hutt's probably the weakest one, but it's good. It's a decent, fun Jabba story. It doesn't tell you anything about the character you didn't know, but it's a nice little fun story. It does a great job. That's really all I got to say about it. Let's move over to DC. Action Comics is here with 1011. This is the final issue of Leviathan Rising, leading into next week's Superman special that's going to lead into the event Leviathan. It's going to lead into Lois and Jimmy and all this stuff, right? So Bendis' first big Superman-wide crossover or something, right? This is a pretty good issue. And one of the best things about Bendis is he gets the best artists. Steve Epting's artwork in here is so slick. It's so nice. It's beautiful. It's luscious. It's elegant. It's fantastic. The story, it's all right. It's pretty decent. I'm liking the direction of Action Comics right now a little bit more than Superman, but it still feels like, I don't know, half a story. Still feels like half a story to me right now, but we got to see what's going to happen. But I'm really looking forward to sitting down and reading all of Bendis' Superman up to this point before Event Leviathan. I've read the first issue of Event Leviathan already. It's pretty solid. Haven't read that special that comes out next week, though. But the artwork is splendid. But the Superman books are, I wouldn't say they're losing momentum, but their momentum is like they're skipping tracks sometimes or something. I don't know. There's something off to me about the direction and story in the Superman books right now. It wasn't like that to start. But maybe I just need to sit down and do a reread. Detective Comics 1004 is here with a big exposition-heavy issue that is the origin of the new Arkham Knight. It's alright. It's a decent origin. It's actually kind of doofy, I think. I didn't really like this one. And Kev Walker's been pumping out career-level work. And in this one, it just gets a little wonky, especially his Batman figure. I don't know, something about it. I'm kind of falling out of this story. After the revelation of last issue, I thought the first issue of the series of this story was all right. The first story was pretty cool. But at this point now, this is a big exposition issue that it just feels, I don't know, it just hurts the flow of the story. And I'm not that interested in this story right now at all. I don't think it's cool. That's sad to me. I was really liking Detective Comics. Flash, number 71, is here with the second part of Joshua Williamson and Howard Porter's Year 1 story. This is better than issue 1. This is a really cool chapter. So at the end of chapter 1, he inadvertently, Barry Allen does, winds up in the future. Like very shortly after he gets his powers, he goes into the future. Well, that's very comic book accurate from the Silver Age because it was like 4, maybe 5, 6 issues in. Barry first travels through time, which is crazy, right? You think he would have built up to that more, but he travels in time. Anyway, so this is a real fun issue. Barry talking to a future mentor in a way. Really like this one. I love Howard Porter's artwork in this story. I love his composition, his layouts, how he's breaking these tiny little small panels, but even though there's so many panels per page, it still flows very, very fast. It has a very high dynamic kinetic energy. There's a big charge to it, right? Just like a Flash book should have. So I'm really liking this retelling. Some neat turtle stuff in here too. So Williamson's getting to kind of tell once again, as many writers have done, the definitive origin of the Flash and set up some things that he's doing in his own books right now, which is pretty cool. Freedom Fighters number 6 is here with a big, explosive, awesome issue that has direct ties to multiversity. For you Grant Morrison fans out there, this was a great issue. I've loved this book so far. It's a story of the reemergence of freedom in a time of tyranny, right? It's about Earth X, which is where Germany and the Nazis won World War II. Superman was one of them. He's called Overman. This is an issue where he shows up. Eddie Barrow's artwork is big. It's explosive. The script really accentuates that. This has been so much fun, this book. It's 12 issues, so we're halfway through, and it's just filled with excitement. At least for me. Loving it. Justice League Dark number 11 is here with an issue where a lot of big stuff happens. A lot of big stuff happens to the magic-based DC universe. That's what James Tynion's been doing on this book. It's doing real big things, kind of like under the radar, right? We're all focused on what Scott Snyder's doing with Justice League and the Legion of Doom, right? And he's doing amazing things, but don't forget, Tynion's part of those plans, right? What's going on in this book? Is it going to connect to all that Legion of Doom stuff? Probably not too much, but there's a huge story on the underside of the DC universe happening in the pages of Justice League Dark. This is a great issue with great artwork. This Lords of Order stuff has been really, really fun. Zatanna, Wonder Woman, they have a conversation with Mordru, Lord of Chaos. That goes exactly how you think it would. But some really, really tragic moments happen in this issue too. But I'm liking Justice League Dark. I feel like it's time for a reread, though. Definitely feel that way. Martian Manhunter number 5 is here. It's been a while. I feel like it's been missing from shelves for a minute. I almost didn't read it because it had been so long. And my favorite thing about this is the artwork. I know I hear a lot of people complain about the artwork. I really like Riley Rossmo's artwork, and I really, really like his artwork on Martian Manhunter. It's really different. It's unique. But it fits a character like Martian Manhunter with all the shape-shifting, all the Mars stuff. It's extravagant. I really love it. I love the coloring. The story is all right. It feels a little clunky to me. It feels a little overwrought at times. Sometimes I feel like that was Steve Orlando's work, and I have to go back and read it all in one chunk. So there's some interesting bits are being thrown into Martian Manhunter. It's a little bit true to the character. It's a little bit different enough to be interesting. But the artwork for me is the star of this book, especially in issue number 5. The Terrifics is here with issue number 16. So last issue, we had the first issue that was written by Gene Luen Yang. You all right? Gene Luen Yang, right? So I thought it was really cool. I was nervous about this book post Jeff Lemire. His first issue was great. His second issue, not so great. Not for me, at least. Maybe it has to do with the artist. It's somebody Sokovia. It is Steven Sokovia. Not really super familiar. I'm sure I've seen the artwork before. It's not that it's bad artwork, but something about the flow of the story, the composition, it just doesn't work for me. It doesn't grab me in. The last issue I found to keep that charm that Jeff Lemire brought into the Terrifics alive, and this one, I feel like I lost it. It just felt a little generic. And for the Terrifics to finally, 16 issues in, feel to me generic, like the book should have felt generic from the start, but it didn't because it had this charm to it. And Yang kept that alive in the last issue, but not so much in this issue. It almost made me want to give up on it. That's sad to me. Dial H for Hero number 3 is here with a really cool, bonkers, psychedelic issue that's also a big tribute to early 90s, mid-90s Vertigo and indie comics. There's some whacked out, wonky stuff in here, totally in the style of a Shade the Changing Man or a Sandman or an Invisibles or something like that. And there's even some like Tank Girly type stuff in here. That's one of the fun things about Dial H for Hero, is that since the dial makes you into a new hero, they get to use that opportunity to explore a different type of comic book or a different part of comic book history. And that's something that I really, really like. I think it's very clever about this book, especially with the artwork. The artwork's really cool. It goes back and forth between Joe Quinones and another cat, and I can't remember his name right now. And it is Ariste Dane. I really like the artwork, and like I said, I love the psychedelic tribute to Vertigo in this book. That was really, really fun. An interesting enough story, starting to get a little lost by it, though. Just a little bit. But it will be over soon, right? We'll see. We'll see how it pulls it all together. Middlewest, let's jump over to Image Comics. Middlewest number 7 is out this week. This is the start of the second arc. The first trade paperback is also out today, or this week, so if you haven't checked it out and you want to, definitely. It's one of the best series of 2019 right now. Scotty Young doing a great job writing this one. Jorge Corona, Jean-Francois Bolo doing a great job on this one. A fantasy book about a kid running away from his abusive father. His abusive father also just happens to be this like tornado air elemental monster. And now the boy finds out that he's got something maybe a little bit of that power in himself, and maybe it could be a little bit uncontrollable at times, especially to a kid dealing with so much, right? It's a great story. It's a great little theme there about running away from abuse and worrying about carrying that abuse inside of you for the rest of your life and hurting others because of it. Really cool stuff. Subtle, delicate, beautiful artwork, luscious coloring. Just, this is great stuff. In the tradition of like a Wizard of Oz type thing, but a little bit more fresh, more relevant to today, and just spot on the money. Love that book right now. Donny Cates is back with Redneck number 20. The story keeps taking interesting turns, and to something that I thought could have wrapped up after issue 6 or so. Donny Cates has kept the story going. He's kept me engaged into the characters, into their lives, into this world that he's building up. He is doing a slow burn on world building right now. Starts off just about the small family of redneck vampires, and now we're learning more and more about vampire society, vampire rules, vampire class systems, stuff like that. Really like what Donny Cates is doing. Looking back on Donny Cates' brief career, because it's going to be a long, beautiful one, I guarantee you. This guy's got a thing for vampires. Yeah. I like Donny Cates. Me and you were out of the same cloth, man, pretty much. Redneck number 20 is out this week. I love it. Great art, great moody, lots of neat new twists into the story. Assassination number 3 is out this week from Image Comics and Kyle Starks and Erica Henderson. This book is just a big, crazy, uber violent, goofy, balls to the wall kill fest. And it's fun and it's awesome. And the first issue, I wasn't quite prepared for that, right? Second issue, I was prepared for that and I really enjoyed the ride. Third issue doesn't quite have the same roller coaster feeling as the second one, but it does, just a smaller roller coaster with a little less hoops, right? But still fun, still out there, ridiculous. The book does not take itself very seriously, but the characters in the story damn near take themselves very seriously. Assassination number 3 out this week. So Drawing Blood, the story behind the stories, is here this week. I was really excited for this one because it's Kevin Eastman Studios, and this is kind of supposed to be like, the way I was told about this book was that it was going to be like an autobiographical thing about an independent comic book creator dealing with post-fame success after, creating a huge franchise, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So Drawing Blood would be kind of like about Eastman's life, a personal story in a way about it. And not really. There's a lot of crime fiction elements into it. There's a lot of just... And Eastman, of course, did come up with the story idea. Yeah, created in story. But David Avalone did the script. Ben Bishop did the artwork. Brittany Peer on the colors. Taylor Esposito on the letters. The artwork, the colors, the lettering, all that is fine. But the story for me just is a little too derivative. It just didn't really... I don't know. There's something about it I didn't like. It just didn't read like a good comic book. And it's a shame because I really wanted to like it. Because the main character in this book created a book called The Radically Rearranged Ronin Ragdolls. And one of my favorite things about this is the concept where they also on the same day release the first issue of the fictional book in the comic. And this is actually way better than this, but this is just a riff on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Albeit with these really badass cats. So that's kind of cool. So I really did like this one. Didn't like Drawing Blood that much though. I mean, it's all right. I mean, I get it now. It's mixing like crime fiction in with it. But seriously, if you want to take being a comic book creator and mix it with some grounded crime fiction, read those last 2 issues of Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Because those were amazing. Avant-Gardes number 5 is out this week from Boombox. I'm loving this book. Fantastic book. Carly Usden is the writer. Noah Hayes is the illustrator. Rebecca Nalty is the letterer. Ed Dukeshire is the letterer. They have done a fantastic job on this book. It's about an all-girls art school, and they want to have a basketball team. They have to deal with a lot of adversity to get that team together, but now it's more than just about the initial concept. It's also now about this group of friends, the relationships they have, the bond that they share. Really interesting, awesome, highly developed characters with every one of them have their own personality. Beautiful, clean artwork with just striking colors, just perfect stuff. I really, really like Avant-Gardes. It's 12 issues, so we're issue number 5 right there. I think it's 12 issues, if I remember right. Incursion number 4 is here from Valiant Comics. This is the conclusion of this big epic Galactus-level type threat for the Valiant universe, spotlighting the Eternal Warrior and Geomancer. It's written by Alex Packnadell of Friendo fame. We'll talk about that in just a second. Also by Andy Diggle, help with the script there. Doug Braithwaite on the pencils. Diego Rodriguez on the coloring. Marshall Dillon on the lettering. I did an advanced review of this one last week. Definitely check out that video for a more in-depth review. But needless to say, This has been a real fun Valiant miniseries. I've really enjoyed it, and not ever having read or much history or knowledge about the characters that were involved, being able to jump right in, just have so much fun with it, and have some nice little thematic moments brought up. And a big superhero blast was just awesome and exceptional. Alex Paknadel is a rising star in this industry. Be on the lookout for his name. Incursion number 4 is out this week. Also from Alex Paknadel this week, the Friendo trade paperback is out. It's got artwork by Martin Simmons, D. Cuniff on the colors, and Taylor Esposito on the lettering. An all-round brilliant creative team, a great book. You've heard me already talk about it a lot. If you have missed your chance to check it out, now is your chance to get that trade paperback of Friendo out this week. Also out this week from Vault, these really cool new printings of These Savage Shores 1, 2, and 3, kind of as a tribute to those really nifty Star Wars posters that they did a few years ago. So new printings of that. These Savage Shores has been heating up, and with the new news about the Vagrant Queen TV show, These Savage Shores is definitely something that will probably be shopped around. It's already, you're seeing some movement on the early issues. These are splendid, awesome covers. I'd recommend getting those. And if you haven't read it, read them. These Savage Shores is one of the best books out there. So that's what I read this week. That's what I thought about it. What are you reading? What you think about it? Let us know in the comments down below. Love talking to you guys about comic books. In the comments down below, this is what we're here for, to share a positive place, to share our love for comic books, pop culture, movies, television, and a whole lot more. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for a podcast and a whole lot more. We got a brand new podcast debuting this week on the website, on iTunes, about Steven Spielberg. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Yeah, thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.